Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ewan. I'll be your facilitator for the next couple of hours. Hope you like that little new intro that I just gotten the other day. Just some sound check. If you can hear me, can you please type into the chat box that you can hear me? Say a yes or okay or whatever. Yeah? Excellent. Thank you so much. Very good. I hope you all have a good start to the week, and also a good start to the December, which is the last month of the year. This year has passed by really, really quickly, hasn't it? And I think so many things has happened to make it feel that it's gone by so fast. So, nevertheless, right? I think it has been an exciting year, and I'm sure next year is going to be even better. All right. Now, I see quite a few familiar names in the guest list, so to speak. But for those of you who are new to me, my name is Ewan again. I'm a practicing career coach. I've been having my own coaching business for the last over 7 years now, 7.5 years, right? And I've been doing such workshops for WSG over 5 years now. Okay, and this topic of innovation or getting innovative mindset lately has been quite popular. Right, the last time I did this topic was in July of this year. All right, so for those of you who have actually been to my last workshop on this, I think this time round I'm going to do it slightly differently. I'm going to introduce a few new elements into the session itself. So hopefully you'll find it a little bit more useful, a little bit more exciting, and also the information is updated for you as well. Okay, so basically, as in anything, any questions that you want to ask, there's always all these few things, right? Why, what, how, and all that. So that's what precisely we're going to deal with today. Okay, so why? Why is this notion of an innovative mindset important for your career, for our career? Okay, got to understand that, understand why. Otherwise, if you don't understand why, then what's the point of you staying for the next couple of hours or so, right? Okay, next thing, right? What are the signs of an innovative mindset? Okay, we need to know what are these things, because if we want to learn how to have these qualities, we need to know what to look out for, right? Okay, once we know what these are, then obviously we need to go into the question of how we develop this, right? Like in my opening intro, I said, can this be developed or is it inborn into us? All right, so I'm going to try and address that. Some people say it's natural. Some people are naturally creative. Some people are naturally innovative. Well, maybe that's right, but to a certain extent, but I think it's also we are also able to actually enhance or develop this even further. Oh, somebody said got no sound. Are you okay to hear me? Because I think just now I did a sound test. Everything is okay. Yes, okay, good. Maybe Wong WCWC, all right? Maybe you can check if your sound setting is not on or something like that. Okay, all right. Last part. Okay, the last part after knowing how to develop this, okay, maybe then you start looking at how to use our innovation, our innovative mindset to use it in our job search or in our career. Okay, so those are the things that we're going to be talking about. Are we okay with this? These few topics, all right? For those of you who have been to the last workshop before, you've noticed some changes here. But for those of you who are new to this, I hope this should be the takeaway that we get at the end of today. Is it okay? Everybody, is it okay? If it's okay, please type in the chat box. Yes, it's okay. Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. So today I was told that there's supposed to be about 100 people that signed up for this today's session, which is slightly lower than normal. Normally we have about almost 200 or maybe 200 plus. Okay, maybe because it's December, everybody's going away on holiday and all that, but never mind. So right now we have slightly over half that's just come on board, but I'm going to start anyway. Okay, for the benefit of those of you who came on time, right? I'm going to start, and then towards the end, when we normally what I try to do is I finish maybe about 4 o'clock or so, and then we have time the last half an hour to do an in-depth Q&A. All right, and then on not only this topic but for other topics as well. So this will be the agenda for today. Okay, so the why, the what, the how, and then also the final part, which is the tips. All right. And then obviously I'll round off by a summary. Now, for those of you who are interested to know what I do as a coach and how you want to continue the discussion with me, you can stay on to the last part after the summary on the bonus tips itself. All right. And as for breaks, okay, given that this is only about 2.5 hour session, so I can't really give you a lot of breaks, but I'm going to give it a try. Okay. So maybe somewhere in the middle of today's session, I'll give you maybe a 10-minute stretch break, so on and so forth. Not really a too long a break. Huh? And then you will also notice that I've muted everyone simply because based on past experiences, some people might accidentally switch on the mic and then it might disrupt the whole process. Okay, so I put it on mute, but later towards the end, I will turn it back on again, then so that you all can use the mic to talk to me as well. Now, for those of you who have questions about the session, okay, for this topic itself, as we go along, please type into the chat box your questions, okay, but try and put the capital letter Q right in front so that when I scan the chat box, I know that there's a question, then I can straight away jump to that. Okay, and I will address your questions at the end of each section itself. So at the end of the section why, I'll address a question related to that section, and then what, and then how. All right, and then towards the end there'll be an overall Q&A session as well. Okay, now the reason why I'm doing this is simply because the I'm going to record this session. Okay, I'm going to record this session, and for the purposes of privacy, the recording, all the Q and A's will actually be edited out. All right, so that's why if I leave the Q and A to the end of each section, it'll be easier for me to edit out the Q and A's later on. Okay, Suchira, you mentioned that there's the audio keeps going out, going off. I don't know if anybody else has got the same problem. I'm having a monitor here as well to actually listen to the audio. I don't seem to have that problem. Does anybody else have audio issues going in and out? No. Okay. So maybe oh, WC got no sound as well. WC. Oh, okay. But I think everybody else seems to be okay. So maybe it's a setting somewhere in the setting on your side, or maybe the if you're using headsets, the jack is not plugged in properly and all. Okay, so give it a try and see how. Huh? Okay, so let's start. Let's start with the first portion. Okay, the first portion on why. All right. So why is it important for us to develop an innovative mindset? Why do you guys think? Okay, what's another word for an innovative mindset? Can you type into the chat box? What do you think is another word to describe somebody who's innovative? Can you type into the chat box? Creative, right? Everybody says creative. Okay. So then the question here is, why is it important for us to have this sort of mindset, a creative mindset, innovative mindset? Why is it important for our careers? What do you guys think? Can you type into the chat box? Why do you think it is important for us in our careers to have this way of thinking, this way of looking at things? Anyone? Why is it important? Okay, somebody says new discovery, new ideas, solve problems. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, what will all this do for you? Offer breakthrough transformation. What will this do for your career? You can think of this way, right? You think out of the box, you offer breakthrough transformation. How does it help your career? How does it help your career? Yeah, good. Navia says feeling happy. I like that. Standing out from the norm. I like that as well. Show lifelong learning. More well regarded by colleagues and bosses. Get excited to new exploration. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, really, isn't it? When you are doing something different, you are helping a lot of people. When you're helping a lot of people, people value you and they want to keep you on board. They like to have you around. So in other words, it's almost like you're trying to future proof yourself. Am I right to say that? Huh? Think about it. Okay, with so many changes going on, sometimes it's quite difficult for us to catch up on a lot of things. But if we have this basic foundation of doing things in a very different way, of trying to being creative, but at the end of the day, we are able to help more people, we are able to solve problems. Our employers, our companies, right? the people that we work with will want to keep us around despite all the changes that's happening. Okay, so we are trying to future proof ourselves. Okay, now I came across this article recently, right? Was it released by SSG, Skills Future Singapore? All right, and they were talking of this report was basically about skills demand for the future economy. And one of the paragraphs that was listed in there actually struck me, and I thought I'd share this with you in today's workshop. It basically said that there are some critical core skills that we all need for the future. And one of these critical core skills, all right, the other two are self-management and influence, but last one says creative thinking. So like like all of you said, right? Another word for innovation is also being creative. So in other words, having creative thinking, having an innovative way of looking at things, is really something that is a skill set that's really critical and is valued by a lot of people. Okay. Now, the other thing is this. I mentioned earlier on, things are changing so much. Technology is everywhere. You go and Google just any studies about the impact of technology on jobs. They all come to the same conclusion. Okay. A lot of our jobs will be affected or lost or altered, right, by technological changes, by automation, by AI. Okay. Can you give me an example? Type into the chat box. Can you give me an example of jobs that are no longer around because of changes in technology? Can you think of any example of a job that's no longer around? Okay, Emily says cashier, maybe, but there's still some, but probably not as many. Any others? Data entry clerk, probably, because now it's so easy. Basic accounting. What else? Okay, travel agent. I don't know about that. I think still now people still depend on travel agent, but sometimes it's not so much in demand because it's all DIY. Right? People do ourselves. I want to give you an example which I just came across the other day. The example. Can you remember the people who's the toll the people who had operated the tolls? Okay, no longer now. There's no longer any toll operators and no longer any car park operators, right? Now because of all these automated cash card machines lah, the ERPs lah, bus conductor. Jane said bus conductor also. All these are no longer there because of the changes in the way we do things, the automation, the technology. Okay, so then what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do about this? How are we going to survive, all the AIs, automations, and technology changes? Another study I came across basically mentioned this, all right, that jobs that will survive AI automation, they give some examples here. STEM, okay, in the STEM industry, like heavy equipment technicians, aerospace engineers, developers, creative people in the creative sector, chefs, musicians, advertising copywriters. You can't imagine chefs are creative people, right? But they are. They design a lot of different types of cuisines. Huh? Jobs that require a lot of emotional IQ. Okay, so you've got nurses, doctors, therapists, teachers. Although some people may argue that probably teachers, yes, they're still in demand, but there are also some teaching professions are being affected by the remote learning, by e-learning and all that, right? Right. So if you think about it, okay, the jobs that are really affected, safe jobs that are not so much affected by changes in technology, essentially are jobs that require a combination of these three qualities: social intelligence, creative intelligence, again, right? The word creative comes in already. Dexterity of the human senses. Now, what do we mean by dexterity of human senses? In other words, the ability to see a problem, use whatever situation to solve the problem. A typical example of this would be just the other day, I asked one guy to come into my house to help me with this, a plumber. All right. Can you imagine that a plumber, right, is someone who is very dexterous with his hands, but is also able to spot problems and try to help you solve the problems. Okay, so it is not just about jobs that are actually very high tech involvement, or even basic jobs like plumbing. Okay, those are important and probably will stay on long because they require a combination of being able to deal with people, social intelligence, being able to look at problems and how you can solve it, and being able to translate how the ability to solve problems by using hands, by using things around you to solve the problems. Okay, so why is it important to have this sort of mindset, this sort of mind frame, right? It's really to allow us to future proof ourselves. And why do we want to future proof ourselves? So that, at the end of the day, we can solve more complex problems, right? Because at the end, we are problem solvers. Those of you who've been to my past workshop before, I always say we are problem solvers. Okay, you stand out and you will be able to compete not only locally but over in the global economy, because now the world, there's no more borders already. You're competing with everybody out there. All right, if you are able to do all those things, you become an asset as opposed to become a liability, right? You become an asset to someone, to your company, to your clients, to your customers, to the people that you help. Okay, all right. So a very quick and dirty session. This section on why is this notion of an innovative mindset important for our careers. So the next portion here is, what are the signs of an innovative mindset? What are the signs? Okay, what do you look out for? All right. So let's do this. Have you ever wondered, when you're looking at children play, right, with them by themselves or with other kids, huh? The way they do things, the way they look at even a simple block, like what these two kids are playing around, they can imagine so many things to do with it. They can create so many new things, right? What do you think? Why do you think kids are able to do this? Right? When we grow older, we tend to not look at the square block in a very simple, in a same way, right? The other day, I was just considering, should I, I was wondering, look, I was actually asked to go to do a workshop on this particular topic. And one of the things I thought of was, should I go and get a set of Legos and see what people make out of those set of Legos? And then I tried those Lego sets at home myself. And I tell you, I was just so stuck in the way I thought things. I just do the traditional things, the Lego sets and all that lah. I do like little cars, little houses and all that. Well, when I asked my little nephew, 7-year-old nephew, yeah, to play with the Legos, wow, he came out a lot of different things. No, he came out with a notion of, he built a dragon, he built a bridge over a little, two little roads. He built over a bridge. Right? Then he built an aeroplane, but this aeroplane is not a normal aeroplane. No, he built an aeroplane with 4 wings. Wow, so I think it's very creative. All right. Then I asked him, why do you build an aeroplane with 4 wings? Then he told me, oh, just in case two of the wings fall off, then at least still got two more wings to fly. I never really thought about this, right? I mean, okay lah, maybe it works or doesn't work, but at least he thinks about it and then he tries to find a way to solve whatever problems he might anticipate. Huh? Okay, so kids are a wonderful a source of inspiration for me as well, because the way I see them do things is very creative, very innovative, and we can't think about it. Why are they able to think like that? Okay, now anything else? What about this? What is your favorite movie? Have you watched a movie recently that you thought, wow, that storyline is so interesting? Can you type into the chat box, what has been your favorite movie that you don't mind watching over again, or you found that, wow, that was really, really nice? For me, my favorite set of movies were from the Marvel universe, right? As you can guess from the opening. Emily said Top Gun. Is it because of Tom Cruise or is it because of the storyline? Inception. I like Inception. Yeah, Marvel series and all that, right? I think the reason why I like Marvel is because last time when I was young, I used to read a lot of comics. Okay, and I went into the world, my own little world, when I read those comics. And when Marvel's the cinema came up, so many things that appeal to me, but not only because of the comics, but also because of the way they portray the stories. Star Wars, I really like that as well. Right? Can you imagine the script writers, the producers, the directors, how they think to translate the stories onto the big screen for all of us to see? How creative they were, how they solved the problems. Can you remember in the first Avatar, the movie? Yeah, James Cameron had to reinvent a lot of the way he captured scenes and took photography. Yeah, to actually come up with a new way of movie making. Same thing, George Lucas, right? When he went did Star Wars, he reinvented a lot of cameras and the recording, how to capture and sort of translate what was in his mind into the screen. Yeah. So let me ask you this, huh? You think about this. When somebody says that person is innovative, what do you think that person? Why do you think that person is described like this? Why is it? Why do you call someone else he is innovative? Just think about this. I want to show you a short video. Okay, this video is really a little case study, of someone who was doing something, but he saw an issue, he wasn't happy about it, and then he did something about it. Okay, I want you to see that video and you think about some of the words that was used and what that person did in order to come up with something new. Okay, let me show that to you.
This car lights up with something called Lumalore. It's not LED light, but paint. And not just glow-in-the-dark paint, but a special kind of paint that turns on and off by reacting to an electric charge. But how can a spray paint work like this? And how was it created? Andy Zinko had over 20 years of aftermarket painting experience, creating custom designs for all types of vehicles. In 2009, a friend asked Andy to complete a special paint job on a motorcycle, a job that would cause the motorcycle to glow in the dark. Andy was unsatisfied with the finished product. It had too short of a life and lacked a mechanism to control the glow. Andy was curious and experimental, unsatisfied with the norm. A self-described lab rat, he quickly got to work. A year later, Andy had a functional prototype, which he used to paint the album cover of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon on a Kawasaki Police 1000. This product would inspire a whole team of people dedicated to making beautiful designs glow.
Can you guess what Andy did? Did you hear the words that was used to describe Andy? Can you type into the chat box? What do you think were some of the words that was in the video that used to describe Andy itself? Yeah? Lab rat, yes, Anthony. Any other words that was used to describe him? There were some keywords. Experimental, yes, Jazz. Anything else? Curious and experimental. What else? There was another one. Dissatisfied. Yeah? He wasn't satisfied with what was existing, right? He wanted to do something better, right? So, so when someone, when you say that someone is innovative, you're really implying that that person is willing to do something different, right or not? Doing something different. So in essence, that person is always on the lookout for new possibilities and new opportunities, right or not? When somebody is, because why does he want to do this? Because he is naturally creative. He likes to experiment a lot of things. And what happens? When you're creative and you're experimenting, you're actually sometimes doing a lot of things very differently from other people because you're not happy with what's being done normally. All right. And the last part here, Andy was dissatisfied because he wanted to solve a problem, right? So he went to work and trying to put his mind juices at play to try and solve the problem at hand. Okay? So, in other words, really innovation, if you can think about it, is the introduction of something new. Okay? So when you say that a person is innovative, he's creative, basically he's doing something new in inverted commas, because maybe he's just doing something differently. All right? But at the end of the day, it seems new to us. All right? And by doing that, it produces an outcome. Okay, it is not determined or not defined by outcomes, right? So innovation actually produces an outcome. Okay, now throughout history we have heard of a lot of smart people, creative people, innovative people, not only in history but modern day as well. Can you all type into the chat box who are your examples or people that you know, that you are aware of, that are very creative, very innovative, problem solvers, whatever? Can you type into the chat box? What are some examples of people who are innovative? Okay, Elon Musk, kids, okay, LKY, any other people? Anybody who's present, okay, Elon Musk is still around, okay. In history, Thomas Edison, Mark Zuckerberg, okay, could be Steve Jobs, right? Who else? Anybody else? SPF of FTX. I'm not sure who that one is, but Tesla, okay, Nikola Tesla, which is that picture is here was of Nikola Tesla. Yeah. So a lot of people in our history, right, have shown that they are very creative, but at the end of the day, they're all problem solvers. Right now, they're all problem solvers. Right? Wright brothers, Bill Gates, somebody mentioned that. Okay. Now, for me personally, yeah, I know all these people that you mentioned are very innovative and all that. But for me, because of my childhood upbringing, there are two persons that were like my role models for innovation and creation. Okay, these are the two people that I was talking about. Okay, Batman, the Dark Knight, or AKA Bruce Wayne, and the other one was Iron Man, or AKA what's his name, Tony Stark. Okay, these were my inspirations when I was growing up. Okay, and in fact, to a certain extent, they still are, right? And really, at the end of the day, all these people that you mentioned in the chat box, and even these two characters that I've listed down here, they all have something in common. Can you tell me, type in the chat box, what are the things, all these people that you mentioned, and maybe the two characters, what do they have in common? Can you type into the chat box? Why do you think, or what are the things that these people have in common? Anyone? Wisdom, technology, and wealth. Okay, they're probably rich. Passion. Anything else? Risk takers, problem solvers, courage. Use tech to solve problems. Could be. Yeah. School dropout. Oh dear, I'm not sure whether in Singapore that will work very well. But yeah, could be because they went against the norm, right? Any other things that are common in common? Well, I already shared one little point there. They see the big picture, but they also are able to link things together. Okay, that's one. Right? Somebody mentioned strength and eccentricity as well. Could be as well. Sometimes some people think that you think so differently that everybody else thinks you are very eccentric. Another way of saying eccentric is being cuckoo a bit, right? But I like the word eccentric, okay, because it has a creative element, but it's also bordering on the line of telling people that I'm doing things that nobody else would do. Must be brave enough to be naughty. Very good. Okay, big pictures, right? But at the end of the day, they see the big picture, but they like to see all the linkages between things. That's one. They have they are quite good in a lot of different things. They are quite good in a lot of different things. All right, but you could say that they're also very good in few selected areas. Okay, W2 asked a good question here. Has anyone observed that foreign executives are more creative, innovative than locals? Well, maybe that's a generalization. Okay, what I like to suggest is that maybe it's also about our education system. I'm not saying our education system is bad, but I was brought up in the old education system where I just sat down and listened to what teachers told me. Okay, the way I went through school was to listen and absorb. Yeah. But when I know that in other countries, even when I went overseas after that to study at university, I was actually impacted very negatively by the different way of education in overseas. Right? Those of you who maybe you're familiar with this, okay? So we maybe a lot of us, especially in the older generation, we may have difficulty in sort of sparking our creative juices simply because when we were brought up, we weren't encouraged to speak out, to be different, to apply, to integrate. We were more like learning to absorb and follow the points that our teachers gave to us. Yeah, so it's very very different. The other things that people the people who are very innovative, they tend to look at things in a very different way, right? They not only synthesize a lot of different things, right? All the different things that's happening out there, they try and bring it together, right? They try and integrate it together, but try and contextualize. In other words, they try and see how it applies to the current situation. And they try and use all those things to solve problems. Okay, they use all the different knowledge, the different experiences, the different skills from different areas to solve problems. I'm going to give you an example of that later on. Okay, open to new experiences. Can you imagine this? If you're closed off to something new, you don't want to go and experience something new, chances are you probably have a very set way of thinking. If you expose yourself, you are able, if you are willing to travel to out of the way places, or you are willing to travel and interact with the local people, how much richer will your experiences be, and how much more powerful these experiences will help you in your day-to-day interaction with other people as well, right? Sensitivity to surroundings is also a very important factor. Okay, do you all know why there was this age of Renaissance? The age of Renaissance, why did it occur? People like Leonardo was, they thrived during the age of Renaissance. Leonardo da Vinci. It's simply because the environment was very conducive to allowing people to think creatively. Okay, the economy was good, trade was good, art was flourishing. Every, the whole city, the areas around them were all, everybody was so creative. So everybody fed off each other in terms of being innovative, being creative. So there was a lot of innovation and scientific discovery and invention during that time. So they were all very sensitive to the surroundings. Now, this notion of left and right brain, okay, one is logical, one is creative, right? So many a time, using a combination of these two sides of our brains can really help us as well. Okay, I want to introduce you. Maybe you all know this concept. This, all the different shapes. The eye shape. Okay, what do we mean the eye shape? Vertical line, it says here. Functional disciplinary skill. So in other words, you use a particular skill that you know and apply it to one particular area. Okay, now it's very good to be very strong in a particular skill. Like, so examples here: CRM expert, search expert, all those engineers and all. Very good. Okay, but let's say, what if we consider something like a T shape, for example? Ability to apply knowledge across situations. So in other words, you are looking at disciplines from, not its experience and knowledge from other areas, and trying to apply it to your own situation. Okay, so examples would be social managers, content marketing. Okay, so this is good. Now there's a new, well, not so new lah, but there's another concept that's even better than T, the M shape, right? So in other words, it says what? Using multi-skill profile with the ability to apply knowledge across situation and domains. In other words, you're not only good in one domain or one particular branch of knowledge. You try and learn as much as possible in different disciplines and different areas, so that you can apply it into whatever you apply into different areas as well. Okay, So, and you typically here you see combinations of disciplines, right? Product designer, coder, big data, electronics, musician, animator, okay? Or even this particular example, huh? Oops, sorry, of this guy. What happens if you use an engineer to go and make a scarecrow? I always find this so interesting. Huh? So, sometimes you need to have a bit of creativity. You apply a combination of skills and experience to solve problems, right? Okay, so we are moving towards getting a hint of what innovative mindset looks like, or creative mindset looks like. So the question here is, are you someone who has all those qualities? Are you someone who has all those qualities? Now, I'm going to ask you a few questions. You can ask yourself whether it's yes or no. All right. Now, this is just very basic questions. Don't worry if you say, oh, I don't have most of those things. Am I not there? Don't worry about it. But this is just like a little play. I saw this in an article and I thought I'd share this with you guys. Okay. So, do you always want to learn something new? Are you in a very growth mindset mode? You always want to learn something new, right? Do you like to learn things yourself, self-taught? Okay, do you like to look at YouTube videos and learn? No, whenever you have a problem, I don't know how to solve that problem. Maybe I see what other people on YouTube has done and I learn from there. Are you someone like that? You self-teach yourself. Okay. Do you find yourself getting frustrated that maybe you don't know something? You say, I cannot, I must go and find out what is it all about. You like socializing with people, okay? But sometimes you just feel that you want to make a uh, better sense of your time spent mixing around with people. So you want to prefer to mix around with people and have a purpose in mind. Okay? You have many hobbies and you're pretty good in quite a lot of them. Okay? So you're not just fixed into one hobby, right? Maybe you got a few many hobbies that say, wow, I like to do this, I like to do this, I like to do this. You like creating new things, or you like doing new things or new activities, right? This one I find it quite funny. Few people understand you. Few people when you ask when you ask somebody, what do you think who I am? Maybe that person has some difficulty in trying to describe you. Okay, maybe few people understand you. Could be, right? So the article went out to say that if you have 5 out of 7 of these questions that you answer yes, right? Chances are you're probably already at a good level of creative thinking, innovative thinking. Someone who likes to generate a lot of new ideas and apply it to situations. You like to learn, and maybe you're pretty close to the M way of looking at things. Yeah. So then the thing here is this. If you are someone who is very creative, very innovative, and think out of the box and all that, what are the positive things that come out? Think about this. No, if you are in that type frame of mind, what are some of the positive things that people say about you? Can you type into the chat box? What are some of the positive things that people say about you if you are creative and innovative and think out of the box, do things differently? What are some of the positive things that people would say about you? Any idea? You type into the chat box. Is it optimistic, resourceful? You see more opportunities than most people. Yeah, those are really positive. Any other positive aspects? Or do you all see it's all negative? I'm sure there are more positive things than this. Optimistic, yeah, resourceful, self-directed. I like this. You are a change agent. You're progressive. You're dynamic. You're forward-looking. Very strong, positive, can-do attitude. Cheerful and calm. I like that, Linda. Very good. Cheerful and calm. So you don't see any problems. Yes, I'll do this because it can be done. You're not depressed by the situation. Very good. I like those. So in essence, really, if you look at it, sometimes people think of you as a jack of all trades, right? Now, somebody mentioned adaptable uniqueness, but it's also a jack of all trades, right? Because you can do a lot of things. Okay, you're creative, you're flexible, you're resourceful, you're self-reliant. Okay, you can do things by yourself. Okay, You love to learn and try new things. I like that word, KK, permanent beta. In other words, you always try new things. You're always developing new things, right? Very good. When there's positive, there's also negative, right? So what do you think? Can you tell me what are some of the possible negative impressions of people who have these qualities of being creative and innovative? What are some of the negative impressions? Anyone? I'm sure there's some negative ones. Not completing, yeah. Oh, angry, trying to rock the boat. Trying to rock the boat, trying to disrupt the whole thing, right? What else is there? Jack of all trades, master of none, right? Procrastinating could be, could be. I'm going to come back to that point in a while. Hard to understand. I like that one. Hard to understand. Okay. Too flexible, meaning you're bending here and there too much. Right? Okay, could be. Yeah. Right? In essence, the perfectionist. I like the other one. So perfectionist. Okay. Master of none. I mentioned that already. But sometimes people think that because you're always so-called very flexible, maybe you don't have a commitment level. Your commitment level isn't really that strong. Okay. Wong KM says can't guarantee results. Indecisive. Sometimes you prefer to work alone. Okay, you prefer to work alone because either you feel that other people are not reliable or people don't operate the same level as you. Okay, people don't understand you. I think some of you mentioned that already. People don't understand you. They don't know how to interact with you. Huh? And there's one point which I thought quite interesting. Sometimes you feel that, I can do this, I can do that. You want to do everything. So sometimes people don't like that as well. You want to do everything. Okay? Now, in the last workshop, somebody asked me this question. What about, are innovators, people, creative people, are they also dreamers? Are they also dreamers? What do you guys think? Are creative people also dreamers? Emily says yes. Okay, but if you think about it, when you tell a person you are a dreamer, normally is it seen as positive or negative? When I tell you, Emily, you are a dreamer, do you take offense to that, or are you okay with this? Or generally, what do you guys think? Daniel says negative. What do you guys think? More negative, right? Because why? Why do people think that dreamers are negative? Why do people say you are a dreamer, you are negative? Okay, some says no action, cannot complete things, no action talk only, no action talk only. Yeah, right? So, in other words, the difference between a dreamer and someone who has a creative mindset or innovative mindset, the difference between the two is what? What's the difference between the two? The difference between a dreamer and a person who has an innovative mindset. What is the difference? Gary says execution. All right. Action. The ability to put what you have up there in terms of your dreaming, your conceptualizing, and put it down into action, into implementing. Okay? So this is one point I really want to emphasize more. It's very good that we are able to dream, think big, and think of possibilities and opportunities. Very, very good. Right? But if it stops there, and if it doesn't translate into anything concrete, then it's half the job done. It's half the job done. Okay? So putting it into action is really, really important as well if you want to develop an innovative mindset or creative mindset. And that would help your career as well. Okay? So let's summarize the qualities of an innovative mindset. Okay? The ability to see beyond and question traditional borders and boundaries, right? And sometimes people think that, being playful, being proactive can actually help a lot in trying to look at these things. Remember how kids think, how children play? They see beyond the traditional way of using a Lego. They see beyond the traditional way of how an airplane should be designed. Yeah? They are playful, right? No harm in being playful. They are proactive. They go out and create and do things. Yeah. They Being innovative doesn't mean you pull things apart, no. Okay, you pull things apart to look at how it works, but you put it back together and integrate different things together. So in other words, sometimes you bring opposites together. You try and make things draw connections across different areas, all right, different fields. Okay, so you are integrator. Okay, you're open to new experiences. I mentioned that earlier on. You're sensitive to the needs of different people, the people around you, and you're sensitive to your surroundings as well. Okay, this is very, very important. So if you're closed off to new experiences, you are some people call it one-track mind, then you need to break out of that if you want to enhance your creative and innovative thinking. Okay, now the last one, which I mentioned earlier on, okay, you are a person of action, and you need to commit to the action and commit to a result of that action. Okay, you have to commit, huh? So somebody mentioned earlier on, no commitment, something you have to get over. You have to make sure there is a result to this. All right, okay, so we spent another few minutes just now talking about the science of an innovative mindset. All right, so how to develop and enhance your innovative mindset. Okay, so this is the last portion. All right, so we summarize just now what are the signs of an innovative mindset. So the question here we have to address is how then we develop this. So in this portion, I want to go through with you a couple of case studies. Okay, I find that using case studies is a very good way of illustrating the points that I want to share with you. Okay, so the first case study is actually a very personal example of mine. Okay, let me describe to you the situation. Now, I've been doing web classes, Zoom classes like this, ever since I started my practice. Okay, so even before Zoom became Zoom, like Zoom was very popular in the last 2 years, right? But I actually started using Zoom about 5-6 years ago already. Okay, so I've been doing a lot online classes a lot. What is the issue? When the pandemic started, okay, everybody went on Zoom or went on online learning. So everybody started, so the exposure to online learning was getting more and more, right? So the issue wasn't at the beginning. The issue at the beginning was people getting used to the notion of spending 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, sometimes even full day online. Okay, so that was one issue. How can I attract and retain attention? Because I was doing workshops like this for full days, for 3 hours, people were not used to it. Okay, so that was one issue. Second issue was what? After about a year or so, where everybody, because you were so exposed to doing things online, you get tired of the usual way of delivering these online sessions, these online webinars. All right, right? So you get tired of looking at the PowerPoint slides as normal on the screen, and then you see a little speaker at the corner, and then blah blah blah. The person talk to the online, and then that's it. All right. So two issues there, right? How I could capture attention, and how I could adapt so that, because you guys would have been so exposed to the normal way of doing things, I had to do something different. Okay, so that was the issue I had. What were the needs? So if I look at you guys, okay, and I talked to many people when I was doing all this, I asked them, and many of them said that really we need to be engaged, we need to be excited, our eyeballs need to be excited, our brains need to be excited. Okay, we want to see interactivity, we want to see how should I put it, motion, right? Motion, not just the same plain PowerPoint slides or the way of doing things. Okay, so that was the needs of you guys, the people who are attending the webinars, the workshops like this. What were the gaps? What were the gaps? For me personally, my gaps was that I didn't know how to do all those things at that time. That was one gap. So it was a skills gap. Secondly, my other gap was hardware, technology. I did not have the machine. My computer wasn't powerful enough to look at setting up things differently. Setting up things differently. Okay? So that was the gap. So what did I do? I started looking around. I started looking at how other people did it. But I didn't look at people who were doing online lessons or online workshops. No, I didn't do that. Can you guess where I looked around? What other types of people or types of webinars or online things that I looked at in order to do something differently? Can you tell me in the chat box? Can you guess where were some of the different places I looked at for best practices? Anybody got any idea? Any idea? What do you think? Heather says YouTube. Right? Okay. Admittedly, TikTok, YouTube, you're right. Okay. Those were the primary source of information, of techniques that I looked at on how can I make things differently. How can I make things differently? Okay. How can I deliver differently? How can I appear on screen differently to you guys? Okay. So if you look at it, right now, for example, if I ask, I want to look at everyone, bang, I see all of you at one screen. Right? So I needed to look at something that allows me to do all these things. Okay? So I started what? Experimenting. I started learning from all the different people around, the YouTubers, the content creators, the marketeers, right? All those people, the way they did things. Then I started building up my hardware and my skill sets. Right? Slowly learning, doing things. I trialed it. Those of you who have been to my earlier workshops, maybe about a year or over ago, all right, you will have seen the massive difference between those workshops that I did and versus now. Very, very different. Okay? So, you see the process? You see the process? All right? Incidentally, this process that I went through, okay, there is actually a name for it. At that time, I didn't know what the name was, but now looking at it, I know what the name was. Can you guess what the name is? This whole process. There is a name to this. Anthony says transformation, but it's a scientific name. It's a scientific name. Wow, pseudoscience actually, but it was highlighted by the Stanford School of Design. Can you think? Well, I say the word design already. Okay? So, is this notion of design thinking. Design thinking, this whole process. Now, I'm not saying that this is the only way of doing it, but for those of you who are really keen on having a framework, okay, I find that this way of looking at things is a very useful way of actually framing how you can be more innovative. Remember, innovative doesn't mean just creating differently, talking at things different, doing things differently. The design thinking is also about what your customer or the person that you're helping, what do they really need? Essentially, design thinking is just a framework, a process of how you look at solving problems, solving issues by looking at things in a very different way, but at the same time making sure you take into consideration what are the people's needs, what do they really, really need. Okay? Okay? So that was the process I went through. Now, I want to go through the same process with you with a case study. A case study. Okay. This is the story of a fireman pole. Do you all know the story of the fireman pole? Do you know how it was developed, how it came about? Okay, let me tell you this story. Yeah, it was actually introduced by this guy called David Kenyon in 1878. I came across this story just last week only, so I thought it was very interesting. Okay, and in 1878 in Chicago, I believe, in the U.S., David Kenyon was actually the station chief for fire station in Chicago. Okay, in those days, the fire station was 2 stories, 3 stories. In this case, was 3 stories. The first level where all the horses were kept, where all the horses were kept. Then the second level is where all the firemen slept. The third level is where all the hay for the horses were kept. Okay, so and it just so happened that this fire station, okay, was actually manned by the city's first group of black or Negro firemen. Okay, so in those days there was competition between the fire stations. Who will get to the fire station first? Who will get to the fire first? All right, so there's always competition, no? So and then one day when there was a emergency, right, the fire, so the ring bell, the bell ring, then this David Kenyon actually found, how come I got a couple of my firefighters, they arrive faster than everybody else, right? The traditional way at that time of coming down to the fire downstairs from their living quarters will actually come down a staircase. Okay. Then when David Kenyon asked these 2 guys, he said, "Oh, we slid down the pole. The pole, there was a pole that actually helped them connect the second level to the first level, right? People use that pole to actually transfer the hay. So the 2 guys used that pole and slide down. Then David was thinking, okay, I'm going to introduce this, right? So he started introducing the fireman pole into the Chicago station, and guess what happened? That station regularly arrived at the scene of the fire first. They were very fast because of this situation. So there was a problem, he identified it, and then he found a solution for it. Okay, so that's the origin of the fireman's pole. But that's not the end of the story. Linda says, yeah, now we use fire pole to do pole dancing. Okay, but that's not the end of the story now. No, now there is an issue with the fire poles. No? Do you know what is the issue of the fire pole? Yeah? The issue here now is that there are more and more injuries happening. The firemen, in their haste to slide down the pole, the number of injuries occurring because of twisted ankle or broken legs or whatever because of that, because they jump on top of each other somehow. Okay, so that became an issue. It is currently an issue. Okay, so think about this. We go through this together. Okay, so the first issue here is what? Because of the injuries to all the firemen. Okay, but they still had to arrive as quickly as possible to the scene of the fire. So the issue was how can you minimize injuries occurring when people go down the fire pole? Okay, so that is the issue now. You all think about it, that is the issue. So you all put on your brain caps on now. Exercise, design thinking, innovative thinking, whatever you think, critical thinking, if you are using that. All right, so what are the needs? Can you all tell me, type into the chat box, what do the firemen need in their operation, when they respond to fire emergencies? Can you all type in the chat box, what do these firemen need? Let's go through this process or doing together. Okay, go through the process of critical thinking, design thinking, whatever. Okay, Heather says get down immediately, efficiency. Okay, the whole idea, prevent injuries, need to go to the fire scene, except, yeah, correct, right? They need to respond quickly. Okay, without injuries. They don't want to have so many injuries that only half the group of firemen can go to the situation. Okay, so that is the need itself. All right, safety. Okay, what are the gaps? What are the gaps involved? What is the gap between what is needed and what is currently happening? There's basically, because now the fire, the living quarters is still on the second floor. All right, so they still need an efficient and safe way to get from the second floor down to the first floor and a fast way, right? No point looking at the elevator or escalator or whatever. Okay, so that is the gap. They still need that. Okay. Anthony said they need a cushion. Yeah, that could be one of the solutions, right? They need a cushion. Okay. Now let's think about this. Now this is where we start looking at other places already. What can you think of? Which other areas can you think of that allows a person to get from point A to point B in a very safe and fast manner? Anybody? Now you think about it. What other places or industries or jobs or situation, just think of any situation that you can think of that allows a person to get from A to B, right, in a short distance, safely and quickly. Anybody? Just type in. Now we are brainstorming. Training slide, Jess? Yeah. Slide, I like that. Flying fox, okay. Yeah, well, that can be a bit risky, but yeah, could be an alternative. So we are looking at things now. Slide. I like slide. Why? Because you're looking at where? You're looking at the playground. You're looking at the playground, right? So why not? Use slides. Use slides. Okay? Or parachute. Okay, I mean, the height of the thing is maybe too low to be a parachute, but maybe a small parachute. I don't know. Yeah, could be possible. Yeah. So think about all the different ways this situation can be amended. How about instead of designing fire stations which are 2 floors, how about designing a fire station which is just 1 floor? Could be, right? Could be. Right? So if there's a new building, new fire station being developed, they could develop it into 1 single floor instead of having double floors. Linda says helicopter. Well, yeah, maybe that means instead of coming down, they go up to the helicopter pad and fly off to the scene of the fire. Could be. Then maybe that's how they are currently doing it now because of the heli fire fighting. But that's mainly for the forest fires. But again, it could be, right? Because especially nowadays, remember now, deliveries, Amazon using deliveries, the drones. Why not use firefighting drones? Yeah? Yeah? Firefighting drones, which I think is being developed as well. Okay? So again, think about all the possibilities. Think about all the possibilities. All right? Not only just from within the firefighting profession, but other professions as well. Okay? I like this idea of the slide because we're thinking about kids again, right? Kids enjoy it. So imagine all the firemen enjoy sliding down. Okay. So obviously after that, the next step is to experiment and to learn. Okay? So experimenting, so probably, the suggestion would be for the firefighters, the people who are in charge of the stations to start looking at different solutions and see what's the best way to do about it. Okay? And then they go and implement. Is that all right? Okay. So hopefully you got this notion of looking at things in different way, looking at things, learning from other industries, other situations, and see how you can apply to this situation itself. Okay? Okay. Time now is 3:10. Okay? Time for a break. Okay, so let's take a 10-minute break, and then we come back. I want to continue with this notion of how we can do this because I just described a couple of case studies, but I want to supplement these case studies by having some foundational aspects to it. Okay, so let's take a 10-minute break and then we come back and then we continue with the discussion. Okay, I see you guys in a while. Okay, welcome back from your break. Hope everybody had a nice stretch, walking around and getting refreshed and all that. Are we back yet? Everybody, if you're back, can you type into the chat box that you're okay, you're back and raring to go for the last part? Anyone? Okay. Excellent. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, good. All right. So just now as I was saying, we did those couple of case studies, right? One was my personal example. The other one was the example of the fireman. the fire pole, rather, fireman pole, right? So, but at the end, behind it, there are some basic fundamentals that I feel that we need to have in order to generate those ideas and all. I think I saw somewhere in a chat box somebody found out the notion of critical thinking. Right? Critical thinking is a process that you undergo which is part of design thinking. I think that's what the definition was saying. So thank you so much to that person who found out that definition. So I think, let me go through these elements with you now so that, maybe it supports that critical thinking process as well. By the end of the day, I just want you to see this as some foundational elements that I think we should have in order to allow us to generate that frame of mind. Is that okay? Over the next few slides. Okay, so the first one here is the engine. The engine, the thing that powers us. Okay, so essentially at the end of the day, it's really about what will happen if I try to do this differently. So it's the way of thinking, something that pushes us to do things differently. What will happen if I try this differently? Okay, so there are certain ways that you can generate this way of thinking. So you can try this, for example. Okay, bring a successful approach from one part of your life, whether it's a hobby, or whatever, to your job or career, or it can be even a different career from a past career, bring it to your current situation. Okay, or from an industry where you previously worked to your current industry. Okay, so like for example, for me, when I first started out my career, I was actually in IT. Okay, I was doing account management in IT. Then I switched careers and I went to FMCG. So I actually transferred a lot of the stuff that I did in account management in IT to my new job in FMCG. And that time, that was in the early 90s, 1991, 92, where the FMCG account management and sales process was very, very different. Okay, so I transferred what I learned from the account managing principles in the IT, which was actually quite developed at that time, to the FMCG side. Okay, so that's just an example. I'm sure you yourself can think of a lot of examples of that. Okay, so at the end, it's really about the attitude that we have towards the problem, the situation. How can we look at things differently? Okay, so some key pointers here. There are always rules, so-called rules in inverted commas or without inverted commas. Okay, maybe we think about this. Rules are there, but how can we look at rules and see whether they can be tweaked and modified to suit our purposes? Okay, rules are meant to be broken. We got to be curious. So our attitude has to be, let's try and find out what's happening. Let's try and do things differently. Okay. Don't be afraid of change. Okay, because being innovative, being creative by nature means change is going to come. You are introducing change. Okay, embrace changes. Sometimes take risks, calculated risks. Okay, my personal example, where I invested a lot of time and effort into coming up with this new way of delivering webinars, right? The risk involved for me was actually there was a lot of cost, monetary cost in putting together the hardware. For example, I spent a lot of time learning the stuff. Okay, I also probably took a risk in my trials, right, where I probably made mistakes. Okay, so take risk, but calculated risk. Learn from your experiences. Go and experience new things. Learn from those. Don't be afraid of going into a new situation, doing something differently and experiencing different things. Don't be a perfectionist. Somebody, I think I saw in a chat box much earlier on, talking about perfectionism. Okay, perfectionism is good, right? But sometimes it holds us back. Okay, so don't be bogged down by it. Maybe that is a target, but don't be bogged down by it. Don't be afraid of technology. So for those of you who are very concerned about the use of technology and all that, I think the fact that you guys are here on board doing a Zoom, where I guess that many of you are very proficient in using Zoom, shows that you are already one step in embracing such technology. Move beyond that as well. Right? Don't be afraid of technology. Technology is an enabler. It allows you to do things. It is not something that constrains you. It allows you to do things if you know how to use it. Okay? Dream time. Don't just sleep and dream. Daytime also can dream. Okay? Break out your mind. Sometimes you just sit down and just think of possibilities. Right? This one I like. This is about having a role model. Having a role model. Think about someone you admire or respect, who, someone who is maybe in the technology sector, the creative sector, someone who you have seen that always comes up with solutions or always does something new. Have that as a role model and think about, if you are in this situation, what would that person do? Think about that. So in this case, for example, what would Jeff do? Here, the role model here is Jeff Bezos, the guy who started Amazon. Okay? So this phrase was actually coined by the DBS CEO, where he asked his company and the people within the company to use this as a tagline. Whenever they come across a problem, and they don't know how to solve it, they use Jeff Bezos as a role model. What would Jeff do if he was in this situation? Okay? So why not? Give it a try, right? Think of someone that you respect, that you admire. It could be some of the people that you mentioned in the chat box just now. Use that as your role model. Okay? Next, let's talk about learning. Okay? I think we all know learning is good for us. Okay? But let's dive deeper into this. You see the tagline up there, fixed versus growth mindset. Okay, so let's talk about the fixed mindset. Can you type into the chat box, what are some of the signs of a fixed mindset? When somebody has a fixed mindset, how does he behave? Can you type into the chat box? How does that person behave when he has a fixed mindset? What do you guys think? Stubborn. Somebody mentioned stubborn. What else? Not open to changes. Angry. Okay, conservative. Blindly follow norms. Yeah. Not willing to change. Any others? Not flexible. Well, could be wrong, right? Could be right, could be wrong. But that's right or wrong depends on who is talking, right? Sometimes. Okay, but flexibility, not willing to learn about new things. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, okay, Hong Lin Lin said the mindset of right versus wrong instead of the gray areas, right? Refuse to accept other options, other possibilities. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so fixed mindset essentially are the signs that you see there. Okay, someone mentions always do same things. Yeah, could be. Yeah, so especially things like you are so focused on proving yourself, you are threatened by other people's success. Things like the unable to handle criticism or feedback. That's also another indicator of fixed mindset. Okay, so then let's talk about growth mindset. What are signs of a growth mindset? Anyone? What are the things that a person behaves? What are the signs that a person exhibits when they have a growth mindset? Anyone? What does it show? What is that person doing? Actively listening to diverse perspective. I like that. Excited, challenged, flexible, positive, eager to learn. Yeah, very good. Diversity, inclusiveness. That means they involve everybody, right? They involve other people. They keep learning. Yeah. Okay. Accept new ideas. Wow, that's a key word, right? Open and accepting of new ideas. Right. So, you view challenges as an opportunity, right? You're not afraid of challenges because they give you opportunities, right? You are inspired by other people, right? You're not afraid of other people's success because you see other people successful, you're inspired by them. Okay, learning is an opportunity, right? What is this? Fail. Fail. First attempt in learning. Correct or not? Right? See. So your persistence is also a very key factor here, right? So in other words, you're learning from your mistakes. You embrace challenges and setbacks and obstacles with creativity and imagination. Okay, you go and look at things in a very different way. Right? You invite feedback. That is so important. That is so important. And you're committed to a lifetime of learning. Okay? You're not closed off to experiences. You're not closed off to new knowledge. You're always learning. All right? So some of you probably know this date already. It's not my birthday, by the way, but thank you if you think it is my birthday. It is not my birthday. Okay, 6 August 1991, right, is long recognized as the day when formally the day the internet started. Okay, the age of learning. I don't know whether you all can remember, those of you who are around my age group, can you remember the days before the internet or not? One typical example would be the use of GPS. Remember the old days where you had to navigate using the little map, the book of maps, how you flip from page to page in order to get things going from one place to another. I tell you, now I'm so used to GPS, I don't know how to use the map already. But imagine, okay, the age of learning, the use of the internet is such a big advantage for us in this day and age. Okay, so use and leverage on the internet to learn things, but with discretion. Some things are good to learn, some things you have to learn with discretion. Okay, so remember, learning is so important here. So in other words, learning, you need to have a growth mindset. So how do we develop this growth mindset? Of course, there are various ways to do it, but try this. Maybe you think about a past mistake and consider, what did you learn from that mistake? How did you leverage on that mistake? Think about this. Okay, all of us make mistakes. Okay, it's no shame in making mistakes. In fact, the saying goes is that if you didn't make a mistake, it shows you didn't try. Okay, so please look at mistakes in a more positive way. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. You gotta learn from it though. Okay, another way, what new skills can you learn that help you in your career or your job? Think about it. For me, my new skill here was developing content, right? I learned from YouTube. I actually I put together my own computer, motherboard lah, CPU lah, graphic cards, everything. I put it together. I didn't buy it off the shelf. Okay, I put it all together. I learned from this, and it's helping me now, because now I can troubleshoot a lot of things. Okay, I learned how to use my phone as my webcam. I'm using my phone as my webcam now. Okay, which is much better than a normal webcam. So all those things, what can you learn? What skills can you learn to help you in your career or your job? Okay. All right. So next one is having the right place to exercise your creativity, having the right place to exercise your innovation. Okay. Can you give me examples? What organizations or companies do you think that has a very innovative culture? Can you type into the chat box? What do you think are some of what companies are very good at innovation and creativity? Okay, Linda says Google, a technology company. Anybody? Apple, seems like it's technology again. Facebook. Any non-technology companies you can think of or not? Dyson, Google, that you feel that the culture is very innovative, that allows you to to be creative. Bio, I'm not sure what company is that. Okay, Grab, yeah, why not? Grab turned its company around to do different things. Yeah. Any other companies? BDS, I'm not sure what company is that, but if Linda, I think that sounds like an interesting company. Any other? DBS, okay, DBS. All right. Okay, Starbucks. Oh, okay, interesting. Starbucks as well. Huh? Okay, so what do these companies have in common? Can you all tell me? We've listed on quite a few companies there. What do these companies have in common that allows the development of a creative workforce? What do these companies have in common? Let me type into the chat box. What do you think they have in common? They get new ideas from employees. Could be. Yeah, you're right. It could be. They are very open, right? They're very open to feedback from the floor. Yeah, they maybe look at things in a very positive way, forward way. Any other commonalities between those companies that you just listed? Productivity and efficient, learning and development opportunity. Okay, so they allow their staff to learn new things, very structured. Okay, training, customized to customers' needs. Okay, so they're very customer centric. I think that's what you're trying to say, right, Mel? So they try and develop solutions to meet customers. Yeah, could be, right? So in other words, right, it is so important for us to choose an organization that also allows us to develop our creativity, our innovation as well. So what are these companies? What do they qualities they have? Okay, so you all mentioned that already. Something that promotes learning. Okay, L&D. Okay, some place that values you as a problem solver, and I think this one a lot of companies do value you. If you can help solve their problems, they really value you. Okay, they want you as to solve problems. A company that allows its people to work together in harmony and work together efficiently and productively. So collaborative infrastructure. You don't have to break down silos, break down walls in order to get something done. All right. Your solutions, the company's solution focus, in other words, they see a problem, they will think of all and different types of ways to solve the problem. Okay. This one I like. They will accept mistakes. Okay, but there's always a big but there, right? You have to learn from your mistakes. In other words, you cannot keep making the same mistakes. Remember what I said just now? If you don't make mistakes, means you're not trying, you're not learning. Okay, so a company that allows its staff, its colleagues to make mistakes is good, but make sure when you make mistakes, you are learning from the mistakes so that you don't make it again. That's important. Now, many of you will be saying, oh, but then I'm already working now, but my company doesn't have all these characteristics, these properties. Then what do I do? Does that mean that I have to quit? Please don't. Okay, don't quit just because I say all these company qualities are important for you. No, don't do that. Huh? What I would suggest you do is something. So look at your existing company. If you are already working now, look at your existing company and try and look for these qualities. Identify elements in your environment, in other words, in your company, that allow you and encourage you to do things differently. Focus on what you can influence and learn. So, for example, I've shared this example with my workshop participants previously. Okay, I had this job seeker. All right. Well, actually, he was already working, but he came to me and said, I'm not happy with my job because I want to do something differently. Right? He was in sales, but he wanted to do marketing, but then his boss didn't think that he had the right skills to go into marketing. So then I asked him, okay, what are the things you can control? What are the things that are coming up that you think that your company will be interested in? Then he went back and did some research, and then he found that the industry is moving towards account management. Right? So those of you who are familiar with account management, you know that that's actually a halfway point between marketing and sales. Right? So he approached his boss and said, hey boss, now there's this new practice called account management, and company A, company B, all our competitors are using it. And they see very good results. I think we should do this. And I feel that I'm able to do this because of my background in sales and my expertise in marketing. Then he talked to his boss. He gave the boss tried out the same principles, and eventually he was able to influence, and he got that role as an account manager in that role. Okay, so look at what you can influence instead of looking at just, oh, I can't change things, then I'm going to quit. Okay, so dive deep into your current situation and think about, what can you change, what can you tweak that allows you to be more fulfilled. Not only in this area of innovation and creativity, but also in your own ambitions, by the way. Okay, so give it a try. All right, so we've talked 3 already. So next one, which I mentioned earlier, but I want to emphasize this again, is look at the big picture. The big picture. What do I mean by the big picture? Okay, one big example, last couple of years, all of us have been faced with the same big problem. Correct or not? We all have been faced with the same big problem, individuals as well as companies. Okay, this is the pandemic, right? So imagine if you're working in a company, the traditional business was affected by the pandemic. You will get worried, right? Because you might think that the company is going to, cut the labor force. You're going to lose your job. What if you can work with your bosses? You could have worked with your bosses and say, hey, let's try and look at things. How can we do things differently? So in other words, if you look at the challenge, what is the real problem? What is the cause itself? Okay. Can you think of any company that changed the way it did its business during the pandemic. Can you think of any company that sort of say, "Oh God, no! Now the pandemic, I can't do all this. I can't do this. I need to change the way I do things," and they did it successfully. Can you think of any company that did it successfully? Can you type into the chat box? Just put down the name of the company that did it successfully. They changed the way they did their business. Somebody mentioned one company I saw just now already inside the chat box. Maybe, what do you guys think? What company do you think has changed the way it's done did its business over the last 2 years in order to cope with the pandemic? Any ideas? Okay, Jaya said all technology companies and banking is done differently. Yeah, could be, right? But they already had some framework in mind, right? I like this one. Teleconsult instead of seeing face-to-face doctor. Yeah, that's one. So the doctors, they had to still see their patients. What else? Any other ways? Any other companies? FMCG. What did FMCG do? What did FMCG do? How did they change? Right? Medicine delivery could be, yeah, instead of going to the pharmacy, the medicine will deliver. So online delivery, okay. Grab used to be just a taxi and a transportation company, right? Then they pivoted to doing food and deliveries and logistics and all that. Yeah. So that was another example that I could think of as well. I'll give you another example of a personal client of mine. Okay. He came to me because his business was affected by the pandemic. He wanted some ideas. So after discussion, he moved. Okay. His company was actually producing garments as in clothes. So what did he do? Right? Nobody was shopping anymore. Nobody was going to the store. All his retailers was not buying from him anymore. He pivoted. He retooled his machines to produce what? Face masks. To produce face masks. And his company survived. He didn't have to let go people. And he managed to secure contracts with Temasek to provide face masks. Okay, so that's another example of pivoting, thinking in a different way. Okay, so identify what the challenge is and then what is the real problem. Okay, so if we had to with no other choice but to do this or go out of business, what do we do to make it happen? What must we do? So sometimes it's useful to put yourself figuratively in a corner. Alamak, I got no place else to go. What must I do? Then it forces you to think in a very different way. Okay, but sometimes when we are too comfortable, we don't think you don't think that no need lah, no point, no need to spend too much energy trying to solve this problem. But if you put yourself in a situation and say, oh, I must solve this problem, your brain juice works differently already. Okay, so looking at things in a very fresh perspective allows you to have new insights on how to approach old problems. Just like the two examples I gave you. Okay, Grab and my client who pivoted his clothing business. Okay, so identify the challenge. What is the challenge? And try and do things differently. That's what I mean by seeing the big picture. All right. So maybe sometimes you try and pick a process that you've already done before. Okay, that's been used a lot. How can you improve it? How can you streamline it? Okay, give it a try. Okay, moving on. I've talked the 4 points. Now the second last one. Okay, those of you who follow football, you know what this stands for, and you know that what club I support lah. Huh? All right. So this basically is an acronym for these 4 words. You never walk alone. All right. So my point here is really to illustrate to you that when you are operating in trying to be creative, many a time is not you alone that's doing it. Sometimes it's so much more better and much more interesting when you actually work with other people as well. Other people. Okay? So involve other people in your process of trying to create something that's innovative. Right? So obviously you want to stay away from negative people because they have a problem for every solution. Okay? So mix with the right people. Mix with the right people where you feed off each other, you generate new ideas, you co-create. Okay, I don't know about you guys. I've always liked to use IKEA, right? And then have you all come across those websites that call themselves IKEA hackers? It's basically communities, right? It's communities of people who get together and discuss all the different ways of what? Using the IKEA furniture in a very different way. They hack it, they do things differently. Okay, so this is just an example of a community, right? There are many other communities there that, like-minded people who bounce ideas off each other, who feeds on each other and say, hey, how can we do this? They talk to each other. So the purpose here is really to make sure that you're mixed with the right group so that you co-create and ideate. Right? That's a new word, ideate. Huh? Involving others, right? So essentially, when you're talking to other people, right, you sometimes create accountability. In other words, when you tell other people you are doing something, all right, sometimes they hold you accountable for it. Say, okay, then you better produce results. So sometimes you ideate, cross-fertilize ideas. Okay, you get ideas from other people, best practices from other industries, other people. You co-create together. That means you create things together. You don't operate in a silo. Okay, involve other people. All right. So one thing to try, talk to other people. Talk to people from a different department or industry and ask how they would solve a problem. Now, at this point, usually what I do when I'm doing a live workshop like this, I actually break you guys into groups and give you a problem, right? And then you guys think of how you can solve that problem together. But since this is a webinar, so I don't have time to do that. But that's an interesting exercise for you to try and develop as well. Okay, so talk to different people to get different ideas. All right, that's the gist of it. All right. So now we come to the last one, which is health, which I think is pretty intuitive. I think all of you guys know this. Okay, it's basically making sure you are healthy. Okay, you are healthy. You are active, both mind and body. All right, so that you have the energy levels to do the things that you want to do. Okay, so really it's about physical activity. Don't care what type of physical activity lah. At least some physical activity, at least 3 times a week for at least 30 minutes each way. Okay, so this is just a basic foundation of everything that we do. Don't mention innovation or creative mindset. It's anything that we do, we want to keep healthy. But this is an important element for what we're trying to achieve for today as well. Okay, so those are the few things that we have, and these are the basic foundations that I myself use, and I hope that this proves useful for you in trying to generate new ideas, new ways of thinking, so that you can present and put forward yourself as somebody who's creative thinker, who is an innovative thinker, who maybe is a critical creative thinker. Okay, like what somebody mentioned just now. Now let's move on to how then we can use all these things I mentioned earlier to use it in our career or your job search. Okay, so maybe that's what you're all waiting for now. So let's dive deep into that. All right. First principle I need all you all to understand. And this one, those of you who've been to my past workshop, you will know this intuitively. So I don't need to say too much. Employers are risk adverse. In other words, they don't like to take risks. When they're hiring people, they want to hire the best person available. Okay, the best person that can help them. Right? So remember that employers are risk averse because it is not about who you are. Okay, it's about how you can help them. Okay, that's the first thing you have to remember. Okay, it's not about you, it's about how you can help them. Okay, remember this. So in other words, if you remember this particular slide that I had, okay, what if you want to be seen as a creative person, an innovative person, you want to move the perception, the negative perception, move it away from negative perception to the positive perception of what you can do, what you can achieve. All right. And the best way to do this, okay, is become an asset, not a risk. And the best way to become an asset is to position yourself as a problem solver. What do I mean by problem solver? In other words, you need to know what are the problems of the company that you're working in or want to work in. That's where you do your research, and then you see how you can help solve that problem. Okay, so this is where you start thinking of all your creative, innovative skills coming in. All right, how can you use those skills to solve those problems that they have? Okay, so how then you manifest this? How do you manifest this into the resume and into your interview? How do you showcase your innovative mindset? Okay, so first things first, when you are doing your resume and when you are going for your interview, first things first, you must find out what are the immediate issues the company has. What are the problems the company has? Okay, so you must find that out. Then you customize whatever you say and whatever you write in your resume to address those issues, those problems that the company has. All right, so you have to customize that. Okay, and when you are putting down all these things, put it down in terms of accomplishments, what you have done. Make sure your accomplishments are very similar to the issues that the company is trying to resolve. So in other words, if you list one of your accomplishment and it's so obvious that that accomplishment can help resolve that company's issues, put it down. Talk about it. Okay? So make sure that you put all these things down. Now, I want to also mention this. Okay, I want to highlight this. In your resume, when you are doing all this, when you're customizing the points to the company's problems, you're listing down your accomplishments, make sure these are basic, but I think I need to highlight this. Use keywords that show independence, problem solving in action. So in other words, keywords like spearhead, you predicted, you developed, you recognized, you created. Okay, so those are the keywords that show these sort of things, that show that you have a very strong, creative, innovative, problem-solving mindset. Okay, you want to connect it to results. So the accomplishment is the results, right? So results means what? Results means you have to put a lot of numbers in there. Like it or not, results means numbers. Don't put down motherhood statements. Don't put down motherhood statements. Okay, so here, for example, instead, the motherhood statement here for this example here, sometimes people will say, I fostered new clients. That is a motherhood statement. If you tweak it around and you put down results, I fostered new clients, new relationships with 15 new clients that led to a 10 million increase in revenue. Those are results. Those are numbers. Okay? So put down numbers that show, put down accomplishment that show results. And results are usually by numbers. Okay? But make sure that you try and tailor this, all right, or pick out the accomplishments that are relevant to the issues that the company is facing. Okay? That is the key thing there. Are we okay so far with this? Are we okay so far with this? All right? Okay. So after going through the hurdle of the resume, what do you do at the interview stage? What do you do at the interview stage? Okay. So before the interview, right, you have to brainstorm any examples that show that you have been creative, you have collaborated with people, that you have done something progressive and forward thinking. So for example, you can say that, you can think of an example, say, I anticipated this change and therefore I put together this set of team or this results and this action that allowed me to meet that change. Okay, so that's one. So you got to brainstorm all the examples and make sure when you brainstorm the examples, it is again relevant to what? Relevant to the company's immediate issues. That is the most powerful way. Okay, so underlying all this is you have to know your company's issues. Okay, then during the interview itself, use a STAR approach. All right, STAR, situation, task, action, results. Okay, so here you emphasize again, how you've done this. So situation would be, for example, like my company was suffering losses because it was losing a lot of money through pilferage from the store. Okay, so my task was to minimize pilferage and make sure that we don't suffer, we reduce losses. So what action did I take? I increased the security. I made sure I hired the right people. I introduced new tracking measures. And what were the results? I improved profitability by X percentage. Okay, so STAR approach, right? If you want more information about STAR approach, you can just Google it. A lot of information out there. Okay, so if you want to take a picture of this, by all means do so, a screenshot. All right, I think it's important for you to understand these things. Okay, so again, the underlying principle here is that you need to take the effort to find out what immediate issues the company is facing. All right, then you use you make sure that whatever accomplishments you have in your resume, in your interview, is relevant to those issues. Okay, and your accomplishments must be emphasized by results. Are we okay? All right. Any questions on this before I move on to the next slide? Any questions on this? Okay. All right. So essentially, if I sort of summarize all the tips, very very basic thing, but I think you need find the right organization. I saw a comment just now was that some companies don't like to have creative people around. Now, if that is important to you, if you feel that you're hampered by the company not allowing you to be innovative, not allowing you to be creative, then maybe I'm not saying that you might be in the wrong company, but can you examine parts of the company that allow you to do that? Maybe even in a small way, if that's possible. Okay, so find the right organization. Okay, be clear about what you can do, what problems you can solve. Okay, so this is where you need to start thinking about, what are the things I can do, how I do it to help the company. Okay, be prepared to show it. Okay, don't just go in there knowing what you can do, but you are not willing to show it. You're not willing to showcase yourself. Okay, put yourself out there and show what you can do. Okay, but then also, of course, you got to be patient as well. Sometimes things take time, so focus on what you can control. Don't focus on things that you're not happy about. Focus on things that see, I can influence this, I can do this, I can do that. Okay, don't be bogged down by things that you feel that are not good for you at this point in time. Think about the good things first. Passion is good. Okay, passion in your work is good. Purpose is good, but don't think of those as how should I put it, challenges. Think of those as complementing. Okay, something that helps in your career, something that allows you to push your career forward. Okay, all right. Okay, I don't see any questions. Why don't I summarize and then I move on? Okay, so very quickly, let's summarize everything. Let's summarize everything. So this is what we talked about. We spent the last couple of hours or so talking about, why is it important for our career? What are the signs? How to develop? And then how can we showcase ourselves? But the key thing here is this. What is an innovative mindset? Essentially, if we're looking at the new possibilities, the new way of looking at things. So by doing things slightly differently, you may produce results that are really, really good. Okay, so don't be afraid of being different, slightly different. Okay, but at the end of the day, you don't want to be seen as a dreamer. You want to be someone who put things into action. Okay, put things into action. We already talked about why is it important, but so essentially it is about future-proofing yourself, right? So that you can become an asset, not a liability, right? You can stand out more, you can solve problems more. Okay, how we do this? I suggested the framework, all right, the design thinking framework. Somebody else suggested the critical thinking, which I think is a process within design thinking. Okay, so you may have your own way. Maybe this is a starting point for you to think about how you can do things differently. Okay, but underlying whatever process that you have, I feel that there are certain fundamentals we need to have. Okay, I've talked about this. So the engine here is about our attitude. We need to have the right attitude in approaching the way we do things. Okay. We need to be able to have a forward-thinking mindset, a growth mindset. Okay. If possible, let's choose a place that is the right environment to allow us to develop that way of thinking. Okay. If we can't find that right organization, can we look at the situation we are in now and see to what extent can we tweak the things that we are doing to allow us to foster that type of mindset. Okay. I mentioned looking at things in a bigger way, looking at things in a different way. So looking at what is the real challenge and then see how we can move things in a different path to do things differently. Okay. You never walk alone, meaning involve others in your thinking process, involve others in your creation process. Okay. But make sure you involve the right people, people that are open to this way of thinking. All right. And then obviously the last one I mentioned earlier is making sure that you are healthy, okay, in mind and in body. Okay. This one, ad nauseum, I said it in many workshops. I'm going to say it again. If you cannot think of, if you can't remember anything that you from this workshop today, at least remember this. Be a problem solver. And by being a problem solver, you become an asset, not a risk. Okay. We have come to, I think, the end of the main content itself for today's workshop, which is the developing an innovative mindset. Nan, then let me sort of, I won't say close this off, but I think I need you all to help me do this little survey itself. Just for your information, my future sessions for WSG is, you see the dates up there. Okay. In fact, the next one is 19th of December, pretty soon, 1.5 weeks away. Okay, so if I see you then, that's good. Then I got January, February. Actually, I got all the way up to March, but I didn't list down the March one yet. But so January and February is there as well. So, but I need your help to sort of put in the survey results. So let me put in the URL for the survey itself so that you all can do this, or you can scan it in as well if you want. Let me just do this. Oh, hang on. Okay. Let me just see if I can. Okay, good. Gary, thank you so much. Gary put the link inside the chat box, so you can do that. Can you please help me do this? All right, fill up the survey. Now, for those of you who are interested to know what else do I do, apart from delivering this workshop, you can stay on. Those of you who are interested to get a copy of the video of today's session, please stay on as well. Okay, I'm going to round things off by sharing all those information. Now, those of you who have already been to my workshops and gone through the last part, and you are already on my list for future videos, YouTube and all that, videos for workshops, you don't have to stay on because it's the same stuff that I went through already. If you're not staying on, then if I don't happen to see you on 19th of December, then I wish you well. Have a good Christmas. Those of you who are going away on holiday, please enjoy yourself, but take care, okay? But those of you who are staying on, I see you guys. I probably would need about 5 minutes, all right? But I will give you around 5 minutes to do this survey as well, okay? Any chance of the session being Monday or Tuesday is actually determined by WSG, so the dates up there are the dates that's given to me. All right, so maybe one of them is those days, I don't know. But in the meantime, so 5 minutes, all right, help me fill this up. Then I see you guys back later. All right, see you then. Okay, I see there's still about 40 people here, so I guess you all want to listen to the next part here. Okay, thank you so much. So those of you who want to get a link to this workshop's video, okay, like I mentioned earlier at the beginning, I'm going to edit out all the Q&As. All right, so the video will only contain the content, but not the Q&As. Okay, so in order to get the video, what I need you to do is to help me fill up this little form, which will give me permission to send that video link to you. Now, what happens here is that I'll put this in a newsletter. I only send things out once a month. Okay, so you will get videos to all the other links to all the other workshop videos that in future I get because you're on my mailing list. But at the same time, I will also put in other necessary information to help you along. Okay, but that's only once a month. Okay, you are able to unsubscribe anytime you like. So let me give you the link to that form so that you can fill this up for me. Okay, so let me just copy. Yep, the link is in the chat box now. Okay, the link is in the chat box. Right, so this is to get to allow me to send you the link to the YouTube, the video that I'm going to upload onto YouTube. Put it in private first. It's not open to public yet. Okay, so put it up there, and it's editing out all the Q&As. Right, just want you to be sure. I'll probably try and do this because I've got another one coming on the 19th of December. So I'll probably combine the two together into one newsletter. So I'll probably wait until after 19th December to send everything out together. Is that okay? All right. Hopefully that's okay for you all. All right. That because otherwise then you all will be getting two newsletters, which I don't want to spam you all. Okay. So this is the first one. It's the first one. Okay. Your opportunity to get a recording of today's session. Now, those of you who want to continue being in touch with me, the next few slides will show you how you can do this. Obviously, there's my LinkedIn profile, my LinkedIn URL up there, very easy. Okay, LIMYW, you can see it there. Okay, so alternatively, I've got these two places. So let me just reduce myself. I'm too big already. Let me just reduce myself. Okay, so obviously, there are two other places. You can go to my company's Facebook group as well as my own YouTube channel. Let me just again put those links up there for you. Okay, so this would be the Facebook group. This will be in the chat box now, and the YouTube channel for this is also in the chat box now. Okay, now just a word about the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel, you see there's only a few videos for the workshop because I update. Whenever I do a new workshop on the same topic, I will remove the old topic. Okay, so whatever topic you see is actually the latest version, right? So I've been uploading YouTube videos on the workshop every time. So I've been doing this for the last year already, in fact. Okay, but as the new topics come in that supersedes the old topic, I remove the old topic. Okay, so those are the two places that you can take a look at. Are we okay with this? Anyway, the links is in the chat box itself, You can take a look at that. Now, again, this is up to you, right? I've delivered workshops on making a career change before. All right, and I've always had people coming back to me with additional questions and additional requests for help and all that. And a lot of time, either I don't have the time, or I want to give give you guys an alternative instead of doing coaching, which may be out of how should I put it, more expensive than you're willing to pay, or you don't have the time for that. I developed an e-learning course, so you can do it at your own time, own target. Okay, so this e-course essentially is basically not only my webinar, but also additional stuff that I used to do for that workshop itself. Okay, now these you see here, these are some of the topics there. You can take a sneak peek at the workshop itself. Let me give you the link again. It's here. Okay, you can go to this link and take a look at some of the free chapters there for you to take a look at it. Now this this cost has been reduced from the previous has increased from the previous one, because when I first launched it, it was actually a lower price than this, but now after a while I've increased the price, but only for people who attend my workshop. All right, so these are you guys. All right, so there is a money back guarantee, 30 days. If you find that it's not suitable for you, by all means, no questions asked, I'll refund you. Okay, so this is your option here. Again, this is e-learning, so it's your own time, own target. Okay, so that's next one. Then for those of you who want to have more personalized coaching sessions, okay, so you can go to my website to look at the information there. So my website here is this one. Okay, all right, so here it will basically give you some idea of basically I run by packages, 3 packages. One is talking about the hidden job market. Okay, so these are 4 hours one-on-one session. There's another one on career redesigning. Okay, 6 hours one-on-one session. Then there's a last one which is here, application accelerator, 3 hours one-on-one coaching. This is basically more for people who already know what job, where they want to go. So I'm only focusing on things like how you reach out to people, how you tidy up your resume, customize your cover letter, and all that sort of thing. Okay, so that one is only for people who already know what they're going. And if you want to work with me on one-on-one coaching, by all means just drop me an email. But I will give since you are my participant of my workshop, there's a discount for it. Okay, so just contact me if you're interested. Okay, so that's again, no obligation. It's really up to you. So I'm giving you different levels of ways you can work with me. Okay, just looking at my LinkedIn website, my Facebook group, you contact me also can, or you can go further and further deeper into the whole relationship itself. Okay, that's your choice. Now, those of you who probably heard, I also conduct courses for other people to become coaches like me. Okay, so I conduct one which is a course which is recognized internationally. It's from the National Career Development Association. So if you want more information on that, this is the website here. Copy. Okay, so again, you can take a look at it. If you want more information, by all means, just contact me and I'm happy to give this to you. All right, so again, like I hinted, I don't do mass workshops. I don't do mass coaching session, training sessions. I do basically very small sessions. So like here in this case, my maximum class size is only 6 people. Okay, because I find that if I want to train people to become coaches, I cannot do it in a mass way. I got to do it very customized. Okay, so it's only 6 people. So if you want, you can contact me on that, or you can refer to the website and then just let me know. Okay, so those are the different ways of working with me. All right, but I think at the end of the day, I want you all to be successful. Okay, so I have come across a lot of clients or a lot of job seekers who find that they are always stuck in a situation and they get depressed and they don't know what to do. Okay, so I don't want you all to feel like this, because at the end of the day, once you know what you can do, you put in the effort. The key thing is effort, because nothing comes free. You have to make the effort to get what you want. Okay? Once you put in the effort, the results will come. Trust you, me. Okay? So please don't get disheartened if things are not successful for you. Maybe you already put in the effort, but you don't get results. Maybe because you're going off tangent, or you're not probably doing something that's could be more effective. And that's where you need guidance. Okay, you can go to me, you can go to a coach in WSG or whatever, or you can even drop me an email, just chat with me, which many of your fellow workshop participants have done so far, for advice. Okay, so I'm more than happy to give my 2 cents worth through email. Okay, so that's all I have. It is now 4:42. Thank you so much for staying slightly longer than the allotted 4:30 time. I don't really have anything else to share with you. I don't know if you guys have got anything else you want to ask or comment on. If not, then that's the end of today's session. Okay, so I really honestly wish all of you well. Okay, please do keep in touch. Okay, I think one of the things I always value is my workshop people coming back to me, telling me what they're doing, how they're doing, whether they're doing well or not so well. I'm always happy to hear from you all. Okay, so please do keep in touch, and honestly, how you do how well you do is really important to me. Otherwise, you attend a workshop like this, 2 hours, 3 hours, I want you to be productive and get results lah. Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, take care, everyone. Okay. Thank you so much. You can save the chat when you leave, log out from this session. So all the links in the chat box, you can save it. All right. So don't worry too much about it. But I think it's hopefully today's session was useful for you lah. Okay. All right. Bye bye, everyone.